what's up, fuckers? So let's just get into this. If you're here from TikTok, you know that I'm a bartender. If for some godforsaken reason you're here because you've subscribed to my YouTube account prior to my TikTok account, I'm sorry, but welcome back. Today we're going to be going over website Mashed, possession of, Mashed's article on signs your bartender is terrible. I haven't actually gone through this article myself yet, so we're just going to be viewing this together. If you have been, I feel so douchey saying this, but if you've been part of my live streams on Twitch, you know that we all take hits together. So if it is available to you, let's pretend this is a legal state. Just kidding, this is tobacco, so it doesn't matter because tobacco is legal. Yeah, actually, yeah. Alright, so this was only posted on 2017, so it's not too outdated. Let's see. I've tended multiple bars and lounges, restaurants, and dives up and down the East Coast. This person already sounds like a fucking asshole. And I've been a patron and even more. While every establishment has their own rules, quirks, and policies that dictate the way the bartender does their job, there are some universally held principles that can easily separate decent bartenders from the ones that are downright terrible. Read on for the surefire signs that indicate you've stumbled upon a truly terrible bartender. I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for this. I might be a truly terrible bartender. We ready? We all good in the neighborhood. Number 1, they don't know how to make classic cocktails. While a great bartender may possess an encyclopedia-like knowledge of every drink recipe under the sun, it's certainly not a requirement of the job. What should be a requirement, however, is that a bartender know how to make the classic cocktails that are ordered in bars the world over. What weird phrasing. Martinis, Manhattans, Old Fashions, Margaritas, Bloody Marys, the kind of drinks that are universally known among drinkers and any bartender worth his or her salt. Okay, so, I know how to make martinis, Manhattans, Old Fashions, Margaritas, and Bloody Marys. However, I know for a fact that there are some really traditionally classic cocktails that I would not know how to make. Let's look up classic cocktails, because like a Tom Collins, I'm pretty sure that's just sugar, citrus, soda, liquor, but like I'm not entirely sure. I work in a dive bar. These things aren't ordered. I was trained in a craft cocktail bar, but the craft cocktails that I was taught were, weren't all of the classic cocktails. So maybe I'm a terrible bartender. But classic cocktails, daiquiri. I don't like daiquiris. I'm gonna be honest. If somebody came into my bar and ordered a daiquiri, I would say no, we can't make that, because I don't know what's in it. So far I'm not worth my salt. It's rum, citrus, and sugar. Well, I don't fuck with rum drinks. A French 75, I know how to make a French 75. That's gin, champagne, and lemon juice. Maybe sugar? I don't know. A Manhattan, I know how to make a Manhattan. A Negroni, I know how to make a Negroni. A margarita, I know how to make a margarita. Mojito, I know how to make a mojito. I don't like mint, I don't like rum, I don't like soda. A sidecar. I've made sidecars before, but it's not something that I would like immediately know off the top of my head. An old fashioned, know that was one of the first cocktails I learned how to make. A mint julep, I don't know how to make a mint julep. I fucking hate mint, and I know that I'm not the customer, but mint is not good. A Sazerac. I know that my boyfriend likes those. I know that I've worked in bars that serve Sazeracs, but only as a cocktail waitress, which I should still know what's in it, but I don't. Oh, there it is. Okay, so 1.5 ounces of rye whiskey or cognac, 1/4 ounce of absinthe, 1 sugar cube, 3 dashes of Peychaud's bitters. I honestly would not know that off the top of my head. Let's call a spade a spade. I suck. Martini, I know how to make that. A Martinez. What is that, like a tequila martini? Okay. I'm seeing tequila. I'm seeing gin. It's because I think it's because it has sweet vermouth in it. That's gross. Okay. Okay, gin and tonic. Okay, if you don't know how to make a gin and tonic, you're a shit bartender. But the ingredients are in the name. A Moscow Mule, I know how to make that. I think they're gross. I think that ginger beer tastes like Vaseline. A Cosmopolitan, I know how to make that. I was trained on 45-year-old white women, okay? I know how to make a Cosmo. A Mai Tai, I would have to look up the recipe to this. I don't make a lot of these. Rum, Curacao, orangey, I don't know how to pronounce that. Syrup, lime juice, gross. Seems really sugary. Seems like something that you wouldn't order at a dive bar. I know, I'm gonna keep pulling the dive bar thing out of my ass because I serve a lot of shots of whiskey and that's like mostly it. A gimlet, I know how to make a gimlet. Tom Collins, gin, lemon juice, sugar, carbonated water, yeah. Bloody Mary, I love Bloody Marys. I love the iced ketchup drink. A Last Word, I've heard of it. I've never made it. I wouldn't know it. There's like a fuck ton of traditional cocktails. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this here. So far, let's keep a tally. 1 out of whatever number I'm at. Mark number 1. I'm a terrible bartender so far, because I know I would say maybe half of the classic cocktails. I know martinis, Manhattans, old fashions, margaritas, and Bloody Marys, but as for true classic cocktails, I don't know everything. If a bartender is truly stumped, reaching for the bar's well-worn copy of Mr. Boston's Bar Guide is acceptable. Okay, so I have the bar book, Liquid Intelligence, and Death & Co. Literally right here. Who reads the Mr. Boston's Bar book? What is that? I feel like it's probably very outdated. They aren't knowledgeable about their product. Just like a server on the floor should be able to describe the flavor of every dish a restaurant offers, it is a bartender's duty to be familiar enough with the flavors of everything they sell behind the bar, especially beer and wine. Okay, no. In a way. I'm a server. I've been a server for a very long time. And whenever I had worked in my first restaurant that had served alcohol, I was 18 when I started. I had never had alcohol before a day in my life. I've never had wine. I've never had beer. I never tried a cocktail. I never tried any liquor. I've never had any type of alcohol at all. Ever. So I didn't know the flavor. And to this day, I still don't know the flavor of everything, especially when it comes to beer, because I don't drink beer. I can describe to you the basic flavor notes of like what a blonde should taste like, what a Hefeweizen should taste like, what a stout should taste like. We get basic descriptors, but as per every single beer, I'm not going to be able to tell you the exact flavors of every single thing. Even as a bartender, I'm not going to be able to tell you the exact flavors of every single thing. If I can offer you a sample of it, I will, but for the most part, you're just going to have to rely on descriptors. We just rely on descriptors. And that is, I wouldn't necessarily consider that knowledgeability as much as it is just good memorization, because I could be telling you complete bullshit. There's this ginger snap beer that we had that's supposed to taste like ginger snap cookies. Everybody who tried it said that it does not taste like ginger snap cookies, but that is the descriptor that we were given to sell, so that's what we sell. It's all a lie. If you think that your server or your bartender has tasted every single thing that they're describing to you, like, nobody's ever asked me to describe an old-fashioned. I've made hundreds of old-fashions. Nobody has ever asked me to describe the flavor of it, and if they did, I would be fucked. I have no idea what an old-fashioned tastes like. I'm not going to drink it. I think it's gross. Let's see, for number 2. Do I get a tally mark for being terrible? I say not, because even though I may not be personally knowledgeable about the product, I have been given the correct descriptors that I've memorized to be able to properly describe flavor notes to you. A good bartender will know which wines are dry or sweet, and that's not even true. That's not even true. It's not even true. Do I know which wines are dry or sweet? In theory, I do. In theory, I know what everything tastes like, but I don't actually know what everything tastes like. I can tell you that a Tempranillo is going to be a sweet-ish kind of red with a spiced flavor. I have no fucking clue. I've never had a Tempranillo. I don't know if that's what it actually tastes like. That's just what I've read in the wine book, so I don't really know it. I'm just passing on what may or may not be true to you. Bonus points if they can also help pair your choice with any food you may have ordered. Again, doing that doesn't make you a good bartender, nor does it make you knowledgeable, because I've been doing that shit for years and I don't know what I'm saying to the people. I just make up bullshit. Oh, you're ordering the Sauvignon Blanc? Let's get you an airline cut chicken breast and a tomato panzanella salad. It pairs so beautifully with that. Or, oh, you're getting a Malbec tonight? How about you try the steak frites, and instead of having french fries as your side, you get the Brussels sprouts with it because it really complements the flavor notes that you get from the wine. I don't fucking know. That's bullshit. I just made that up off the top of my fucking head. Just because we can sound like we know what we're talking about doesn't mean that we know what we're talking about. And you can still be a bad bartender even if you know what you're talking. If you sound like you know what you're talking about. Because if I sound like I know what I'm talking about, and I tell you this wine is sweet when the wine is actually dry, that would make me shitty. But I know what I'm talking about. Stupid. So far, I'm a bad bartender. Number 2. Okay. So number 3, they treat the waitstaff badly. It always makes me bristle when I witness a bartender ignoring or giving attitude to a server who needs their attention. Even if the server is new and doesn't realize they're supposed to garnish the glass for their drink order, there is a right and wrong way to speak to people, especially in front of guests. Show me that you're being kind and respectful to all of your fellow staff members. I'll have more respect for you. Okay. I wouldn't say that this necessarily makes you a bad bartender. That being said, I've never been rude to wait staff as a bartender. I started off as a server at the place that trained me as a bartender, and then at my second job where I am a bartender, there are no servers, it's just a bar. However, the bartender that trained me is horrible to the servers, but it's always in a joking way. Like, everybody's really mean to each other in a joking way. Like, we just fuck with each other like that. And I think that doesn't really inhibit your ability to give somebody a good drink or recommend something well, or, you know, give them a good experience overall. That being said, if you are rude to a server in front of a guest, that could make you kind of a bad bartender, but I think I think it would make you like bad service-wise, not bad drink-wise, because you have to be able to sense the people that are in front of you and understand what jokes they can and cannot take. I would say that would make me a good bartender. I would take this point for being a good bartender, but I've definitely talked shit to servers, to my coworkers, because we're friends in front of guests, because my experience with the guests lasts 30 minutes. My experience with my coworker is going to last longer, so I don't think it really matters. So 3 out of 3, bad bartender. Your drink is empty. Your drink is empty. Bad bartender. How dare I drink the drink that I paid for? All the way? It's unacceptable. When I first trained to be a bartender, I learned that I should always ask a guest if they're ready for another drink once their drink is a quarter full, not when it's empty. Not many people want to sit at a bar with an empty drink. Asking a customer if they want a drink at the quarter full mark leaves the bartender enough time to fetch or fix your beverage while the guest takes those last few sips. Needing to wave down a distracted bartender who seems surprised you're ready for a refill is a sure sign of a bartender who lacks experience or adequate training, considering it directly eats away at the bar's bottom line. I'm always surprised when any bar lets a bartender get away with this. I think there's some truth to this. However, there have been so many times where, you know, I'm just weeded, just absolutely fucking in the weeds, no sign of getting out, so behind, I feel like I'm drowning the entire shift and people's drinks get empty. And that doesn't mean that I'm bad at my job, that means that I'm overwhelmed with the amount of people that are in there. However, if you do let a guest's drink get completely empty when you're not busy, I would think that kind of makes you a bad bartender. But there have been times where this guy that used to come in a lot before the bars all shut down. Actually, he stopped coming in before the bars shut down. He only came in a couple times. But every time that I saw him, and this dude like drank his beer like it was water in 5 seconds. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen because he did it so effortlessly. And so the first couple times that I had waited on him, it took me a minute to get used to the fact that I need to offer him a drink before it's gone. But the thing is, I'd set him his drink, I'd turn around, I'd tend to another guest, look back at him, and his shit's already empty, and it looks like it may have been empty for like half a minute at that point. So it's like, I don't know, you gotta find a balance. I would say I get a good bartender point for this one. They assume you don't want change. I don't even want to read the paragraph to this. Never assume that somebody doesn't want their change. Always assume that they want their change. Whenever I first started, I used to make the mistake of saying, do you need your change? Or can I get you some change? And people automatically assumed it was me, like, saying this is like just automatically taking your tip. Like, I don't know. People think that it's just like, I don't know, rude. I don't think it's rude, but I very quickly learned that I could just grab the money and say, I'll be right back with your change. I'll be right back with your change. Most of the time, they'll say, oh no, the rest is yours if it is yours, or they'll be like, okay, thank you. Never assume that they don't want their change. Always assume they want their fucking change. Even if you, like at the restaurant that I work at, we can give exact change. It's up to the servers, so I typically just tend to round if it's like close enough to the next dollar, round to the next dollar. If it's like 3 cents, if it's like 11.03 is their change, I'll give them $11 back typically. There was this one time I was working at my restaurant, and this less than favorable table came in, and they were not fun to wait on. Super Karens, and by the end of it, their tab was like $50 something, and they gave me $60 something. And that's already a little discouraging, because a lot of times that means that they're not gonna really tip well. And so I gave them their change, and their exact change was something like $9.47, and I only had a quarter and a dime, and I didn't want to break another bill for it, so I gave them $9.35. Not thinking that it's a big deal, and I feel like a lot of people who don't work in restaurants are definitely going to be commenting like, oh, well, you should have given them their exact change. We can't give every single person exact change every single time. It's going to take forever. And so it was only like, I don't know, like a 7 cent difference, 17 cent, I don't remember. It was less than a quarter, I know that, and gave them their change, thank you guys have a good night, and they sit there for a while, and I go and I make sure that they're okay, and this woman is just livid with me, like absolutely fucking livid with me. Just starts going off about how I'm stealing from her and I didn't give her her full change, and she wants her coins back and all this shit, and this is why she's not tipping. She's not tipping because I tried to steal that, and it was less than a quarter, so I just gave her a whole quarter, and they left and they didn't leave me anything. So always assume they want change, and if you have the ability to give them their exact change, then do. But like, even at my bar, we don't have exact change. The coins that we have are like quarters. I don't believe that this is real. I've never seen somebody do this, and I don't believe that it's real. They scoop ice with their hands or a glass. Now, the glass part, yes, that means you're a bad bartender, and it means that you're fucking stupid, because if you can confidently take glass that can very easily break and shove it into something hard like ice, something that looks like glass, and think that you're not going to break the glass at some point or another, you're going to break the glass at some point or another. Then you're going to have to burn the ice well, because you've broken glass into ice, and you can't risk serving somebody broken glass. So yeah, you're a bad bartender if you do this. Okay, that being said, that they scoop their ice with their hands. Who's done this? Who have you ever seen in a real life instant, not a what would you do fucking skit or some shit, I don't know. Would you ever see somebody scoop ice with their hands and put it in a drink? I've never seen anybody do this. I've never done this. I've never known anybody to do this. I've worked with bartenders from all over the country. I've drank in bars in Texas and Colorado, which I'm not going to lie and say I've drank all over the country. I haven't. However, I've been to many bars. Never in my life have I ever seen or heard or known anybody who's done that. I don't think it's real. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't think it's real. I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling bullshit.
It's bullshit.
They want to talk to you about the film that they're writing. This is like oddly specific. Dude, unless I specifically try to engage you in conversation, I don't want to hear about your life's pursuits. This would include how you really insert whatever else you do here. I'm also incredibly uninterested in your workout or diet regimen. Pictures of your kids, how much you hate working here, the roles you played in summer stock. I remember a fellow bartender I worked with in Manhattan who would switch the music to his band's demo tape every time the owner left, convinced his big break was about to walk in the door. He wasn't my fellow bartender for long. This is so snooty. I don't know. I don't feel like that makes you a bad bartender. I'm not somebody who does that. I like to talk to people as little as possible because I hate everyone. It's a good way to make conversation. One of the issues that my manager had when she was training me was that I didn't talk to the bar guests enough. And they actually train us to initiate conversation with bar guests who are sitting alone. Whether or not they're starting conversations with you, you should be starting conversations with them. Not necessarily about anything in particular. Just make sure that the mood is light and people are talking, the ambiance is like good and fun. And that helps when your bartender is open and outgoing and conversational. So somebody trying to start a conversation with things like that isn't like unheard of. I don't think it makes you a bad bartender. I don't do it. I typically start things with like, I'll listen to their conversation and then I'll butt into their conversation and and have a conversation about what they're talking about. But sometimes when they're not talking and they're just kind of sitting there and you feel obligated to start a conversation with them, sometimes those are the first things that come to your mind and it starts a conversation. I don't fucking know. I don't think that makes you a bad bartender, but I'm still going to give myself a good bartender point. They're using old nasty garnishes. Yeah, that's gross. I'm not even going to read the paragraph. You shouldn't be serving people rotten fruit or anything. They're ignoring you to chat with other customers. Dude who wrote this, do you want them to talk to you or do you want them not to talk to you? Because you're sending us mixed signals here. Sure, it's annoying when your barkeep is giving you unasked for recounts of his day backpacking through Europe, but it's even more aggravating when you can't get him to glance your way because he's found someone cooler to talk to across the bar. You sound like a needy bitch. Oh my god. Your bartender may be hitting on the hottie nibbling on pretzels, visiting with friends who came in for a free run when the boss isn't looking, or simply kissing up to regulars who are big tippers. Any way you slice it, if it means my drink is sitting empty, it's a sign that this bartender isn't exactly on this game. Okay? No. Because, no. Straw man. No. Bartender talking to somebody else does not automatically equivalent empty drink for somebody else. Yes, in some scenarios, a bartender does get so busy talking to somebody else that somebody else's drink may get empty. I've been in that situation where I feel like I'm being held like hostage in a conversation because you can't be rude and be like, hey, shut the fuck up. I need to go check on these people. And it was this guy, and started talking to me. He was talking to me for like 10 minutes straight, and as we're talking, like, I'm trying not to be rude, but I'm looking at other guest drinks to make sure they're fine. They're all good. He's talking to me for like another 10 minutes, like literally like a 20-minute conversation. And I'm checking, and some drinks over there are getting low, and so I'm like trying to excuse myself to go over there, and he's like literally like following me and talking to me, and it was just so ridiculous. And so by the time that I ended up getting over these tables drinks, the bar's drinks, this group's drinks, they were so pissed at me that they immediately left, completely stiffed me, and like flipped me off on the way out because this motherfucker wouldn't stop talking to me. Sometimes it happens. And does that make you a bad bartender? Kind of, a little. I won't say that I provided the best service that I could to them, but there are definitely times where I'm talking to other people at the bar more than I'm talking to somebody else, and that doesn't mean your drink's gonna stay empty. You're saying one thing and then equivalenting it to another situation, and this is incorrect. You can't do empty drink and bartender isn't talking to you, and you can't do empty drink and bartender is talking to you too much. You can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't complain about both these things, you Karen bitch. They aren't familiar with the food menu. My bar doesn't serve food. And then the bartender, I don't bartend at my restaurant anymore. I had quit that position a while ago. I'm just a server at the restaurant that I work at. But the bartenders at our restaurant are trained as servers first, more often than not, so they know the food by the time they're behind the bar. So I mean, yeah, I guess not knowing the food would make you a bad bartender. They won't stop looking at their phone. Stop looking at me! Leave me alone! I've definitely done this. Sometimes I want to play Candy Crush. Okay, let me read the paragraph before I react. My bartending years were long before the age of smartphones. Oh, I get it! You're fucking old! That's the issue here. That's why you're such an asshole. That's why you're a nitpicky little bitch about all this shit. Okay, that makes sense. Goddamn boomer. My bartending years were long before the age of smartphones. I remember all too well those zone-out periods during a slow shift when the only thing you could do to pass the time were shine glassware, slice limes, stare at bad college sports on the television. So the appeal of crushing candy while waiting for a small handful of customers to need anything from you is appealing, I am sure. But I implore you, bartenders of today, fight the urge. Despite the fact that it just looks completely unprofessional, you may be missing out on some actual human interaction to brighten your day and a chance to look good in front of your boss to boot. Keep the phone handy to look up some quick bar talk trivia, but other than that, keep the phone out of the equation. Okay, so the times that I use my phone is when it's like really slow, and there's always one regular at the bar. He comes every day, and he minds his own business. He will put his finger up if he wants another round of drinks. That he's very polite about it. I know exactly what he means. It's just easier for him to do that than for him to come up to the bar or me to go to him. He minds his own business. He reads through his papers from his job, and he drinks his drinks. So when he's literally the only person in the bar, I'll play Candy Crush, I'll text my friends, I'll make TikToks, and then even sometimes whenever there are a little more people, and I've tried making conversation with them, but they're just not the type that wants to have a conversation with me, which is fine. And there's nothing to do. I will turn like I am on the computer and I'll check my phone and shit. I mean, I understand the unprofessionality of it in some certain scenarios, but I work at a bar that's so casual where I doubt that anybody really sees an issue with this. And I think if you as a guest have an issue with your bartender being on their phone instead of talking to you, like making conversation with you, I think you're an entitled little dipshit, because we don't necessarily owe you conversation. Like, it's recommended to talk to your guests and everything, but it's not required. It's not necessarily part of the job description. And maybe you shouldn't be staring at your bartender and everything that they're doing. Maybe you should, get your eye off the bartender like they have their eye on the phone, and do something else instead of being creepy and weird and demanding conversation from strangers. So, I know how to make classic cocktails. Good bartender. They aren't knowledgeable about the products. I technically am. Good bartender. They treat wait staff badly. Badly maybe to their eyes, but good and lovingly in the eyes of the server, because we actually understand each other's humor more than a stranger at the bar does. So I guess I don't get a good bartender point for that. Your drink is empty. I have definitely done that. Not intentionally, but if that makes me a bad bartender, I'm a bad bartender. They assume you don't want change. I've never done that as a bartender. I've done it as a server, so I get a good bartender point. Scoop ice with their hands or a glass. I've never done that. I'm not a fucking idiot. They want to talk to you about the film that they're writing. I've never done that. 5 good bartender points so far. They're using old nasty garnishes. I don't do that. Bartender point number 6. They are ignoring you to chat with other customers. I've absolutely done that. Not ignoring, but I've definitely not talked to certain people so I can talk more to others. They aren't familiar with the food. We don't have food. Good bartender point. They won't stop staring at their phone. I've fucking done that. 8. Okay, yeah. So I get 8 bartender points. I am, in the end, as it turns out, I'm a good bartender. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.